Good evening, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I have previously talked about Mars and my knowledge about it, my feelings about colonizing it, traveling to it, that kind of thing, just in the context of current news and things I've heard from, Elon Musk, etc., about sending rockets up there. I think that it could obviously happen. If there's a will, there's a way, and there's no real reason why it couldn't. We've already sent many probes up there. However, I think that Mars is, being a very small planet, it's less than half the size of Earth. It's got very little atmosphere. It's freezing cold. It's got no breathable air natively. You could terraform a space to live in. And here's the thing. I've thought many times about Venus. On the other hand, hear me out. This isn't going to be a long video, but as opposed to a weak gravity, low heat situation on Mars, you have almost the complete opposite on Venus. You have, and I just watched a video, so I know my facts up from that video. If the video's data is correct, I'll link that in the description. Venus has a tremendously dense and heavy atmosphere at the surface of the planet. It has plenty of light, but it does not have a breathable atmosphere. It has a thick atmosphere, about 90 times denser and heavier than Earth's atmosphere at sea level, which is by itself prohibitive. It's probably the biggest deal breaker that I'm aware of, but there's also a tremendous heat problem on Venus. However, this could be an advantage. Hear me out. Here's my idea. I just want to go on record with this idea, crazy as it may be. There's a possibility, because of the high temperatures on Venus, that you have, as a direct result of that, an infinite supply of generatable electricity. If you were to, say, design a generator that had a steam turbine, right? There's water that just boils because of the atmosphere's temperature. You have your cycled water that boils, turns a steam turbine, which in turn generates electricity to power conventional air conditioners, right? I mean, not something obviously that you would see as a consumer grade item, but something that's designed specifically for this purpose with replaceable parts as they wear out. And they would have to be replaceable. This would have to be like a big function of the craft, or whatever craft it is, that you'd be able to machine everything you needed to replace parts as they wore out, mechanical parts. Because if for any reason your air conditioning system failed, you would die. Everyone on the planet would die, which makes it difficult. So there'd have to be not only a short-term craft and program to have air conditioners that could run indefinitely, because there's an infinite supply of electricity given boiling water powering a steam turbine with redundancy, right? You need, like dozens or hundreds of failover systems just so that people could get to sleep, right? With how vital and necessary those systems would be. But you'd need a long-term plan, is what I'm saying. You'd have to have a bigger goal for people to want to actually go there, for human beings to travel there. You'd have to have some kind of feasible plan for terraforming, to create some kind of breathable atmosphere, some kind of long-term actual, mission that would make it pay off in some way, not just to be there, obviously. But it's an interesting thought to me, that just the idea that because it's a hot planet and it's a very much bigger planet than Mars, has a more human-like gravity, and it's got the huge supply of energy in the form of heat, that if harnessed and leveraged, could potentially and indefinitely create an environment suitable for human life. And it could be scaled up, could be scaled down, and the big challenge would be what you wanted to do in the long run, how you wanted to implement that, and the ability to replace things as they wore out. It's a notoriously grueling environment. Just most of the early probes that were sent to Venus, I just learned, were destroyed instantly. They never even had a chance to report back because of how hot and dense the atmosphere is. But the probes sent in the early 80s, for example, lasted much better. Over 2 hours, it sounds like. They sent back usable data. And I think that given modern technology and a proper reason, that is to say, a mission objective that made sense, people could probably just build a big old facility on Venus and live there. It would be indoors until at which point the atmosphere was changed into something that humans could live in. I don't know how that would even happen. I'd have to look more into it. It's not even anywhere near possible at this time, as far as I know. But I just kind of want to mention my idea about the recyclable air conditioning systems that could just run off of the heat that's around the craft or the building or whatever the structure. And it could just run and run and run indefinitely, because the water would turn to steam, turn the turbines, which would in turn generate, would power air conditioning systems that would cool the inner atmosphere in a giant insulated structure. And it's not out of the question that something like that could happen. So something to think about. Reach out if you like, if you're interested in astronomy or colonization of other worlds. I don't know. whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.